Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the daily trend for week 24, June 14, 2016. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. To support your knowledge in the market, see what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. Alright, there we are, week 24 here at TradingFibs.com. Let's jump right into today's numbers as we scroll up for today, Tuesday. There was 3 markets, 12 setups, total of 147 ticks for the AM session. Pretty much sat out of the PM session with a little bit of volatility and chop at the lows as market managed to kick itself back upside towards today's open. Let's take a look at some of the trend setups of the day as market action got underway. Here it was, the NQ this morning. Nice move on the NQ to the upside. Did not play in the sandbox there as solid Heikin Ashi bars tails up to the upside. But there it was, the signal, buy signal, 3 charts in the green. Must have been asleep at the wheel because there it ran and all holding upside above the T350. Look at that T350, very nice moving average as price action held above it, pulled back, gave you another re-entry, early re-entry on the solid Heikin Ashi bar. Buy signal just confirming that the two charts were in sync, gave you another move to the upside, back to the downside. Not the best golden setup, but there it was back below that T350. So add that to your chart and you might get some additional entries during the day. It was all about the 51.44 as we led into the Euro close after that nice move upside. Here we are, NQ, YM, and ES to the downside. Technical momentum driving the markets down. And there it was, trend setup number 3 of the day with all 4 charts in sync. Couldn't sit back and watch that go without getting in on that. And there it was, T3 moving averages to the downside underneath the T350s, and bang, to the downside on all 4 charts in the red. So recapping the AM session, got a little, was hoping for a nice little run there. Here we said the NQ did not manage to play in that sandbox to the upside as price action eventually came back down. And I apologize, this is actually the ES. ES playing to the downside here after a small pullback, couldn't resist and just not be able to hold on to that stop long enough without breaking even, and so just look for the re-entry to the downside. And finally there towards the European close just said, hey, that's enough, just a piece of the pie. There was the wonderful NQ to the upside, missed the AM session, got a little piece of that to the upside, stopped out and back downside, did not play to that move to the downside, took a couple re-entries, and there it was, trend number 3 as we led into the Euro close. And last but not least, YM chipping away here, just trying to get a piece. YM not really moving today, but pretty much by the end of the Euro close session, just pretty much called it. All right. Let's just jump right in, take a look at the AD line. Before we do that, let's take a look at any important economic data up today. It was, that's right, FOMC meeting began today. A couple of light economic data, nothing big. The retail sales wasn't so bad. I believe it was actually 0.5. Prior was 1.3, so you could say that was slightly down, but above the consensus. Other than that, as we lead into tomorrow and the rest of the week, and the big news next week, the Brexit vote. So a little bit of market volatility there for you. All right, let's jump right into the AD line. As we can see, the AD line here, kind of a mask of absolutely yesterday's session, except we finished upside today, and yesterday we finished to the downside. Here we can see the AD line on that nice move to the upside. Finally, that NQ, the YM, and it was really the NQ following upside up to that pivot line there, not to pivot, to 0 it was, and really never pushed much higher to hold upside here on the 10-minute chart. NQ leading the way this morning on the market open, followed by the ES and YM again. We saw that move, barely able to get upside there. Price action turned back downside, and just here we were at the lows, which happened to actually line up with the fib projection lows today. So that was a nice move on all 3 indices. Market got a lift back up, and that was your PM session, pretty much sideways. So looking for those entries, really was waiting for that price action to kick above that pivot line, which didn't happen until about 310. So good choice to sit out that AAPM session. All right, let's jump right in. Close that out. Let me go right back. All right, there we are. Daily trend. Let's jump right into the 5-minute chart. Let's take a look at those 5-minute charts. And there we are. Price action on the crude here today. As price action, just waiting on that EIA report today. 25-minute open range represented by the red line over here. 25-minute open range by the green line. So we pretty much stayed range bound in there at today's open. Nothing really to write home about. Taking a look at the ES again, we saw that lift this morning back down to the lows here, which was around the average low and happened to be the fib projection level. Back up to today's open, back down again. So a lot of chop here in the PM session to lift and finish pretty much. That's right at today's open, right underneath today's open on the YM. And very similar price action following upside today's open to the daily gap and right back up to the Globex high. Again, levels are levels any time of day. Looking for the momentum. Pick your level. You'll see multiple lines finishing or closing out at those retrace or a fade. Either way, it's good to have a roadmap knowing where you are. Love to watch that Globex high. Love to watch that 25-minute open range. And when we are range bound, sometimes you just got to modify that trading strategy. All right, let's go from the 5-minute charts. Let's take a look at the daily trends. Starting with the crude here, daily crude here, price action to the side here. As we said, not much happening on the crude today. Looking for as many charts in sync. It was that one here this afternoon towards the crude close, and not really much happening there. So you can see 51.44 all over the place. A little after mark. We got about 28 minutes here till the crude closes out. So a little bit of action here on as the market's closing out here towards the Globex session. Let's take a look at the YM price action on the YM. Again, we saw on the here on the range charts versus the 5-minute charts that we saw before. Range charts again with just barely a move to the upside. Couple of swings upside here, but then price action again. PM session. I'm sorry, late AM session with that move to the downside. Looking for as many charts in sync. Again, nothing fluid here. A lot of chip and clip there to the bottom. Nothing, again, nice controlled, but not being able to really hold on to that break-even point. Break-even would stop you out. So a lot of numerous entries that was stopped out for just 2 ticks and then just got right back in. Here we are with about 27 minutes to go to the Globex session, just chopping itself out. Again, nice little move here above the T350 on 3 charts in sync. Not too bad. Came back downside. Let it go, and then there it was. Late PM session there, about almost top of 3 o'clock there, 252 price action to the downside. Again, a little mixed session, downside momentum, downside, a little lift here, which really didn't hold. Let's take a look at the NQ price action, a little bit smoother to the downside, gave you some more control. Always looking for more charts in sync, so there it was. That was that nice move towards the end of the AM session. PM session kind of missed that. That was a nice move. Buy signal to the upside on 3 charts in sync above the T350. Again, must have been sleeping at the wheel again. That's 2 nice moves to the upside today, both on the NQ back here as well as over here. So hey, sometimes you miss them, sometimes you don't. Another buy signal here didn't hold. Sell signal back to the downside. This is where it got kind of tricky this afternoon as we were all over the place. And you can see 51.44 is kind of playing havoc in the afternoon session. Again, early morning and morning session was nice as price action held below that 51.44 for at least an hour and a half to almost 2 hours. Taking a look at the ES here, price action on the ES, very similar price action as we saw here. Let's pull back to the session open as we saw the ES to the upside. A little bit of chop action pre-market, and then bang, sell signal downside. 2 charts in sync. Better entry was over here with 4 charts in sync, just trying to get a piece of the pie. There it was, that entry on the ES, just like we saw on the NQ. Solid body tail up. T3 moving averages holding above that T350 with 3 charts in sync. That's right. And finally, the 51.44 catching up. So not a bad entry to the upside. Back down, we saw that chop. re-entry on the pullback to the downside, and then there was that PM session upside move again. Nothing I would have gotten into after deciding to just sit out the afternoon session. Let's take a look at the gold. As price action on the gold almost had an opportunity here on the gold to the upside. There it was. That was probably the best of the setups on the gold as price action, a solid hike in Ashi bars to the upside, 50 above 144. Ended up coming back downside on the 1 minute chart for the majority of the session. Probably, I would say, the technical momentum downside, and then got a lift towards the end. Again, the best of the setups in the early trading of the gold. Always looking for as many charts in sync. You might have been able to capture a little small signal here. And that was about setup number 2 right here in the PM session. And rolling out with the 6E Euro as that's coming up in the news next week, as the euro has been heavily to the downside for some months now. Taking a look at the bigger picture, but you can see the overnight session was clearly to the downside with all 4 charts in sync. No messing around there. And then back downside as the U.S. Open regular trading hours to the downside, and then pretty much chopped its way out for the remaining part of the session. Hey, did we get those fib levels? Yes, we did. Look at that. Target high and target low, both on the NQ. Downside, downside. Look where they held. That's right. Just a little bit extra on that YM, but targets low on the fib projection. So counting out, we had yesterday's fib targets hit, and today that makes 2 out of 2 days. Usually we get at least 3 out of 5 days, so we're on a pretty good record for the week. Let's take a look at the volume profile. How do we do fib projection wise? 600-day VPOX still remain upside here on the YM. Watch for the ones downside here, 42.90. If the trend is to continue, we are holding under 93.50, which is the ES, and crude continue to migrate down here as she's just pretty much chiseling out sideways and leveling out here, building up some value as well. We'll probably see that 45.70 shift here in the next week or two. Take a look at the open gaps. Any open gaps to be concerned about? Well, we closed one out today. What did I say? If you've been watching me every day, I say open gaps eventually get closed. That's right, 17.945 upside level will eventually get closed. We also have one up here, 85.75, but closing out today, 528 from back in May. That's right, the end of May. Price action migrates down there, closes it out on the YM. We saw that fib projection level closed, and bang, back to the upside, holds it up. Just ticks away from 52.75. So what's going to get us to these lower open gaps? Well, if we go ahead and take a look at the daily trend on the daily big pick, that's right, the crude is. So as the crude, and we say this every day, 50 still above the 144 gives us the upward trend, but we're struggling here at the 144, which seems to be pulling this market downside. We look to the 50 MA. We look to the daily gap. That's right. We look to levels downside, 46.43. We looked again to the bigger period moving averages, 50 MA, and any fib levels that we might have there as well. So looking at the crude, be concerned that 45.79 might be some support for you as we head down here to 46.43 to possibly close that out after reaching some gains up here at 51.60. We're already down a couple bucks. Going back to the daily big pick, there's your crude, so be aware of that. As we momentum still holding upside, but we are in a pullback. As long as price action here on the 4-hour chart, always be ready intraday for both directions. All right, taking a look and wrapping it up with the 3 major indices here as we found support here on the NQ. Looking ahead, 200 MA finds support, 50 MA. We are in the gap between the two. Nice volume as we're closing out the week. 50 below the 50 above the 144, and we just crossed in the after hours trading now as we're moving into the Globex session. 50 now crossing below the 144. We'll see what happens on the 4-hour chart. It's been some time since we got into the red. That's right, you got to go back all the way to the end of May, which is about 3 weeks ago here. T3 moving averages crossing over 50 and the 144. I apologize, not T3, just the 50 and the 144 EMA on a 4-hour chart. So holding to the downside, very slightly holding upside. We'll have to see what happens here. NQ getting a little bit of a lift here. So as we move into tomorrow and the rest of the week, we're just going to have to be aware as FOMC meeting announcement coming up, EIA petroleum report as well. So big news with Brexit and quad witching to end off the week. Hey guys, check this out. SEC staff recommend full approval of the IEX exchange application. Get rid of those high frequency traders. That might be, keep note of that vote for Friday. Alright, so there we are. That's a recap for the daily trend. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My trading mantra of one simple strategy: any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You find me every day on Twitter at Trading Fibs. And as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. Only trade what's in front of me and on my charts. And as always, leave your bias at the door when trading. Hey guys, have yourselves a great day, a Blue Zone day, and oh boy, tomorrow FOMC announcement and wonderful rain outside here in the Pacific Northwest. Just loving my summer. Hey guys, good day, good night, and good trading.